If you're a history buff, you are going to love The Gray House on Prime Video, produced by Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman. It's about the Civil War and ladies that were spies for the Union against the Confederacy, and you will blow through this series very quickly. And to talk about it with me is Rob Morrow, who plays Judah Benjamin, who is basically the brains behind the Confederacy. We'll pick his brain a little bit to find out what went into the role, and maybe a little bit more behind-the-scenes action. So get ready for a little history lesson with this episode of Doses of Dane. Rob, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, sir. Thanks for having me.
Hey, good to see you. And, of course, Judah Benjamin, The Gray House. I mean, we went through this series so fast at our place. Just the acting, the series was just unbelievable. So kudos to you and everybody involved.
Wow, thank you so much. I love that you went through it so fast. I mean, that's a good sign. You know, me too. My wife and I've seen it already, but we're watching it anew, kind of with some objectivity in our home, and we can't wait to get back to it. It's and you know, I'm in it, but it's not just the narcissism. It's just because it's such an incredibly fascinating story, so well told. I mean, hats off to the master filmmaker Roland Jaffe, who's really the you know, he's the big credit that we have to acknowledge here.
You know, I love these movies about history, and this set on the Underground Railroad and the four women, the spies, everything. After you were done with this, did you were you hesitant about trusting people in real life?
I didn't think about that. No, I'm pretty trustworthy, but what, you know, making it and getting immersed in that story, you know, I didn't know anything about these women, and played by amazing actors, Mary Louise Parker and Daisy Head and Amethyst Davis. You know, I didn't know this story, and it just made me think about how much history we think we know that's just kind of, you know, inculcated into us from a young age, and there's so many aspects that we don't know. You know, this story resonates, and it's wild how relevant it is now. That to me is the wildest thing. The accidental timing of this could not be more perfect. You couldn't ask for it. It resonates in a way because of what's going on with all the kind of partisan politics. In a profound way, and then you bring in this amazing soundtrack that they put together with John Bon Jovi and Willie Nelson and Shania Twain and Killer Mike, and it has a modern take to it. So it never feels like a history lesson. It's just an epic, great tale told by great people.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but if I could learn about history when I was in school like this, as opposed to just listening to somebody ramble and read books, I would have learned a whole lot more.
I'm with you, man. Me too. I would have been, I would have known so much more. I would have paid attention.
Now, you play a pivotal role in this. You play Judah Benjamin, the Attorney General, Secretary of War. You're kind of like Jefferson Davis's right-hand man during the Confederacy. I mean, those are some pretty big shoes to fill. I mean, I didn't really know anything about this guy, and you brought him to life.
Thank you. I didn't either. I never heard of him. But then people I know that grew up in the South, especially Jewish people, had heard of him. They had learned about him in school. Because he was the first U.S. Jewish senator, but he had so many contradictions, right? He was a slave owner. Like, I just was like, wait a minute, he's a slave owner, he's Jewish, how does that work? You know, but the times were different, and he was Jefferson Davis's, he was basically considered the brains of the Confederate strategy, for good and bad. You know, it didn't work out too well for the South, but Judah Benjamin prospered. He went on to have he flourished. You know, he had a life after the war. He's one of the few people that continued, and a fascinating figure. You know, at one point he was advocating to release the slaves to fight on behalf of the South, and Jefferson Davis vetoed that. But he was full of interesting ideas. There's a biography on him that I read that told a lot of his story, and he could have his own movie himself.
Yeah, no kidding. And you did such justice to the role. You played it so well. But some of my favorite performances from the Gray House, where Paul Anderson is Stokely. I mean, I don't think anybody, he did such an incredible job. You can make somebody hate you that much. You're doing a great job as an actor, right?
Yeah, he's a good actor. He's a really good actor.
And Ben Vereen as Isham was incredible. And then you mentioned Amethyst Davis as Mary Jane. I mean, just incredible, incredible cast.
And what about Keith David popping up on
Oh,
episode 2? That's like he should get an award just for that scene, one scene.
yeah,
Amazing.
it is amazing. It is available right now on Prime Video. I would highly recommend that you check this out. And you also name dropped the soundtrack, and Lainey Wilson is also
Laney Wilson, for
part
sure.
of that. And one other thing I wanted to bring up was one other actor that I was impressed by was Christopher McDonald. You
Yeah.
know, the baker. I mean, you'd seen him remember him as Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore, and this is totally opposite of what he usually does.
So he's so versatile. He's an underrated actor. I've known Chris. He was in Quiz Show with me, and he came on my show Numbers for a couple episodes. He's not only is the greatest guy, he's just the best, sweetest, loving, fun guy to be around. But he's super talented and works really hard. I think people think, when you see Shooter McGavin, it's just like this guy being kind of silly, but he's a real great artist, and I love his work. And I was just going to write him a text telling him how much his performance is coming out to me now, having seen it a few times. But now I can, the more distance I get, I can kind of see other things, and his work is great.
For sure. It's definitely a series I want to rewatch again because we went through it so fast. Rob, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much again. The Gray House on Prime Video as we speak. Thanks so much.
Thanks for the kind words and enthusiasm.
Podcasts by Federated Media.